Outrider. I can see you, Kirk. Can you see me?
Well, welcome to DreamWeaver and Chill, and thanks for chilling with me. It still sounds corny to me, but I am. It just sounds like a game show or something. But
cheers. Yeah, good.
Yeah, same to you. I'm having some vanilla Coke because I no longer drink. I become immortal and invincible when I drink, and so I can no longer do that.
I sip. I'm not into the. I just stay with what works, and for me, it's always been just Jack Daniels and ice, and I just sip it and just kind of maintain a level. Right, the glory days are done. Just sipping a little brown water, and I'm good.
Yeah, I'm a little too old, man. Hangovers are freaking deadly these days.
Yeah, yeah. It turns into something you got to book some days. You got to plan the schedule around.
Introduce yourself, please, and tell me what alliance you're in right now.
Outrider. Outrider's the name. I think the tag officially says Outrider 8, but Scopely made me put something when I joined. But it's Outrider, and I'm an EMC Atlas captor.
So you have always been Outrider.
Yes.
I know I talked to you a little bit earlier and I said I didn't remember, but that name sounds familiar. I just don't think that we, luckily, have had many run-ins because I'm now retired from the game.
Yeah.
As of a couple of months ago, I'm retired. I deleted the app. I had Scopely delete my account, and looks like they followed through with it because
you went all the way.
I went all the way. I'm done. Although I've been told if I log back in because I've spent a certain amount of money, I will be allowed back in the game. But I'm not going to do it because, I take it too seriously, man. It's not a game anymore.
Yeah. No, I get that. Yeah, keep it a game.
Yeah. Right. I play Call of Duty Mobile. That's a game. Bang, 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 throw a grenade, and then I'm done. I go to bed.
This is a microcosm.
This is like, who is attacking my base? Oh, my phone vibrated in the middle of the night. I'm being raided. I better wake up, even though I have to go to work tomorrow, and check on this. And I couldn't do it. My wife is, oh man, my wife is pregnant, and I'm 47 years old, and that is
going late.
Yeah. So the game's done. I'm done.
Okay,
done.
Okay. Well, I had to do the same thing with golf, because I had kids late, and I had my first when I was 37.
Oof.
And I'm 52 now, and I still got my third he's 6.
Oh man,
so
we're in the same boat.
I'm on the train with you, but it killed my golf game. So I was just like, all right, this replaces golf to me. This is where I'm at now.
Well, let me tell you, my dad was a teaching pro when I was a kid, and I was on golf courses, my whole childhood, adolescence, and I got pretty good. Thought I could beat the old man. He's getting old now. He's in his 60s. And he proceeded to stomp me with a set of rental blades. And just like he hadn't played in a few years. And, he just like, oh, was that good enough? Are we over this now? And so that was my last really attempt to do something with golf.
But hey, look, you're still not out of game. You got this going, right?
Hey, Yeah. I mean, I can still keep in touch with everybody, and luckily, I've got Discord, so people tell me, oh, hey, so and so's doing this, and I'm like, okay, that's great for them,
I would almost guarantee that 90% of the people that play this play it for the people, right?
Oh,
the
for
game
sure.
is part of it.
For sure.
But so it is a microcosm, right? It's game, but it's competition. It's game, but it's that little mini society within it. It's like the Deadheads used to be when they found. They had their own set of rules, right, and their own way of doing things, and this is the same way. It's the relationships. And these aren't just your These aren't just your $50 whatever games cartridges you used to buy or disc, and then
no, you buy one game. Okay. Yeah, you buy one game, you're done.
I mean, people. These are like people have major investments in these things. It's more than a hobby. It's and if it does become work, people have to step back. They have to kind of revisit things, relax, but. Yeah, you got to balance it out, obviously, but it's a great escape too. It gets you away from all this stuff and yada yada.
I mean, and believe it or not, in real life, I am not the DreamWeaver. I'm just a guy, who goes to work and just a normal guy. I don't have special powers.
Yeah. I wouldn't have thought. I wouldn't have thought that.
Without me saying it, But luckily, the game goes on, and there's always a chance. Maybe I'll start an alt and come back.
Everybody's got to do them, but I still find it interesting. I still find that it's fun. Content can be hit or miss.
I don't want to get too much into EMC and all that, because I will touch on EMC, because I don't want... You guys are not the bad guys.
No.
At times I've said... there was a time when I called Ska a tyrant. I called him Skalin. I paid for it dearly with my base being destroyed multiple times. And then we became buds. And then, we're doing interviews together. And, and it's, I used a Scarporin level 50 character for a year. So you kind of had to get to know each other.
Mm-hmm.
And change my mind, So it's...
Yeah.
It's just, there are people who get so far into it and they get just too deep, man.
I see things from this side, and there's camaraderie in it. There's fun, and it's hard to tell what the pixels on the guy behind the pixels you're hitting or you're going against is thinking and feeling. But people got to lighten up a little bit. Have a little fun.
And we used to, it is like a microcosm. It's a role playing, and it's a. Let me ask you some of these. So you started playing the game early on, right away?
Yeah. I started early. I had the typical starter little alliance, and then I ended up in an alliance that I was with for a while. And great bunch of guys. We changed. There were a couple of early names, but we ended up we were Gang.
Okay, I remember Gang. I remember the original Gang. Yeah.
Yeah, we were Feeder Alliance. It's like the Durham Bulls. Like, a lot of people came through that alliance, but if they grew quick, if they spent X amount and grew quick, they got called up to the big leagues, right? Yeah. And we just kind of kept growing at our pace. We ended up we were approached by Arrow at one point, and they said, let's bond, let's ally up. You guys are, obviously you don't have quite the power we do, but you feed stuff in, and you guys put all the effort into it. That's what counts. So so we kind of allied up with Arrow, and that was the old Arrow. That was. What a squad that was. So we kind of started changing spots, and I was an admiral actually at Gang for a minute, and I went over to Arrow, and that was when Mental and Madgram and Rage X was there at the time. A couple players that aren't around it. Red Bear, Red John, all these guys. The Admiral of Fear right now, Solar was in that alliance. A bunch of guys, and they did this thing that those old mergers and things just didn't work, and they merged. They tried to, Arrow was like 2 or 3 always, right?
Yeah.
Behind MD and all that. And so they did this thing. They merged, or they formed this thing with Omega. Remember that alliance, right?
Omega, yeah. That's we're going way back, man.
Yeah, and they had like three alliance, or 3 different. So they had like Omega A, Omega B, all this crap. And they merged with Arrow. And of course, this just didn't go well because they did these mergers and things badly back then. They try to stack. So if you're merging with 2 or 3 alliances, you take all the highest powerful players and put them in one side, right? That's your A team, your varsity, and all that stuff, and then meet all the other players down through the ranks, right? And it was just a cluster. It was that's when like Omega had this guy. Like we were really excited about it first, and like Omega had this guy like something crab something or something like that. And like their whole Discord page, when we kind of got together and we started trading Discord pages, it was like crab porn. It was like everything was crab. It was like we were like, what the hell is this?
Like pizza. Remember, pizza was like that.
I don't know, but their names are definitely like that. And I ended up after about a week and a half after this merger, I was like, this is nuts. And I went back to Gang because we were still affiliated with Arrow. And I was in Gang with my crew until we joined EMC.
So you guys kind of merged into EMC as a team?
Well, Gang had gotten we had like 45, 50 players, but I think we had a core group of like 10 or 12 that were active. It kind of petered out, and the people that kept coming through came through and left and went to bigger things. And I think it was about 7 or 8, and this was when EMC first formed. And I think at the time we didn't think we were going to get in. We were like, we're X amount of levels below y'all, blah blah blah. And I think at the time, some ex-Gang people who had gone on to be an MD and Raid. We saw them in EMC, and we were touching base, and they're like, yeah, talk to Scott, talk to GNN. And they were like, they built it up to like 30 or 40 players at that point. It was still very underdeveloped. It went full. And we're like, they're not gonna take a bunch of guys that are 10 levels below and all whatever it was at the time. And they were great. They're like, yeah, come on, let's do it. Bring y'all start coming over. And I think some of the core actives, there was like 6, 7, 8 of us, all went over and been there ever since.
Was Laga with you guys?
Yeah, Laga was in Gang.
That's what
Laga came from Gang. NORAD, Marching Hero.
Oh, Marching Hero, man.
Yeah.
I talked to that dude so long ago. Mm-hmm. Back when probably I was in the first GOT. I remember talking to Marching Hero, and he was always cool. Still around,
And the guys that had come through there that were already gone, and they'd been in Raid and MD, and were in EMC at the time, was like War Goat and Mega Pugzilla. Oh,
War Goat. I've been with him a few times.
Yeah, all those guys. They had all started as Gang guys originally, and grew and came back and eventually circled back and pulled us back in with them.
What a cool bunch!
So,
yeah, that's cool.
It was the very early. It was the start of it. I mean, it was a baby project, and it was a bunch of people from all over at the time. We were playing with, we were going in and playing with people that, we've been fighting with and duking it out with all over. Cannabis and Kitty was in the original version. He was in the early stages, and Kitty
was in a lot of things. as long as there was some trouble to be had, he was there.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And Ken is the same way. We go way back. We go way, way back.
Yeah.
Well,
and it was good. It was good. It started out, and it was great. Yeah, it was great for us. So.
Well, have you changed the way you play the game, or do you have like a personal code of ethics, like row, or something that you live by?
Yeah, yes, I do, and no, I don't, because I don't always get that. People always talk about that. They're talking about your game ethics and all that stuff, right? And I get that to a degree, but and yeah, there's certain. That's why it's more like a microcosm sometimes than a game, because people always want, what are your ethics? And you do this in game and it makes you an asshole. Now you're an asshole in real life too. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's a game.
Ridiculous.
It's a game.
Yeah. And I mean, when you're in competition, I think your personal code and your ethics are important, right? If you're playing golf or tennis, and I mean, are you the guy that's gonna call the stroke on yourself, or are you going to kick the ball out of the rough when nobody's looking? That kind of shit, right?
Yeah.
That's ethics. That's different. But like if you're playing Texas Hold'em, right? Are you going to bluff? And if you bluff, that's lying, right? Does that make you ethically bad?
No, that's part of the game, man. It's part of it.
If somebody lands on Boardwalk and you own both of them, and you built it up and you make them pay and mortgage all this shit to pay, are you a bad guy? No, it's a game. It's not a statement of your ethical mandate in life. It's just a game, and you're winning. So. People need to get over that shit. But I get it. It's a bigger deal. When people have thousands of dollars or whatever invested, and they're building this and building that. Tempers flare a little more. So I get that part of it. But yeah, it's like, at the end of the day, that you are going to do some things that aren't you, and it doesn't make you a bad person in real life. And people need to get off that fucking high shit horse.
I mean, like, for instance, somebody might have rigged an election one time where two alliances were trying to figure out who would be the admiral. I mean, and that doesn't make that person a bad person. It just makes them. It makes them dedicated to their game, I guess.
Yeah, I've never heard of that having to happen. I don't know if I'd want to be in that alliance, but yeah, I guess it could happen.
That alliance is still around. It's still around, those.
Oh my God!
But sometimes people have to do what they have to do. I'm not saying I would do that.
And you can't. Look, when you dress up for Halloween, that's not really who you are, right? It's how like you got. There's no such thing as just a nurse anymore. It's got to be a dirty or slutty nurse, right? You do this kind of Halloween costume. Everybody's going to push the borders of what they are and are not. Yeah, and you're going to do that in game too.
It's kind of you're playing a part.
Yeah, people can slow down and relax a little bit.
It was more fun earlier on when people were like, when we didn't know what the. If you were going to be a Romulan or a Klingon, we didn't know which direction the game was going to go. If you were going to be stuck with those ships, or remember those days? And like it was more important. Like I was all Federation, right? I didn't know that the ships would suck later. I didn't know. The Sally turned out pretty good, and the Enterprise turned out pretty good, but
my first ship of significance in that area was the I was all jacked to get the Mayflower.
Hey, let me tell you about the Mayflower. I had 4 Mayflowers like 2 years ago. Before it was cool. Before anyone knew that you were going to be scrapping them. I had 4 of them. And people were like, you're crazy. And then all of a sudden I was like, I'm cool now. And then I got 5. And then I scrapped 1. And, I ended with 4. 1 was hijacked. But that was my ship, man. It looked like the Reliant. I mean, that's
why I liked it. But then when I got it, I'm like, wait a minute, because at that point, what do you got before your first one of those? You got the Kamari, right?
Yeah, you're like,
I can't wait to get this puppy, whether it's the Mayflower or the D3 or whatever, and you get that thing, and you're like, oh, now I'm gonna rule. And then you go out, and the first thing that happens to you is a Kamari comes by and kicks the shit out of you.
Some Max Kamari. Yeah.
Yeah. And you're like, damn it. And, and I agree. That's why I wanted it. It looked like it takes you back to Rapid Con, right? And, but then, the Sally was a great ship. Yeah.
I mean, it was.
I think overall, I think pound for pound across the board, the Romulan ships are the ass kickers, right? They're awesome.
As you get higher, so what level are you right now?
I am 48.
Okay, so you're in the cool Romulan ship time.
I got 49 in the oven, but I'm not pulling the trigger on it yet. I got some shit to do first. So
yeah,
I got the what do I got that's Romulan like that? So I got my first 4-star was the Valdor, right? And okay. I got a nice little Valdor, and then I've got a newish. I'm still building up a Newton, right?
Yeah.
As far as the uncommons go on the Fed side, and the Pilum is just awesome. I got my Pilum's getting where it really,
Which one looks so skinny?
Awesome.
Which one looks real skinny? It's like the wings are so thin on it. That Romulan ship. Is it
and the hull is like that's the Valdor.
Yeah, the Valdor is so thin looking.
Looks like it's got it's like a big bird kind of neck.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, but that's a great. I mean, that was my first 4-star, and it's my toughest. It's my highest Explorer right now at my level, because then I got the Pilum, which is Interceptor, and then the Newton's a battleship. Those are the 4-star rares, right? And I don't have the Epic. What you got? 50. I'll get the 50 one day, and then I'll have my 4-star Epic. But I'm going to build these puppies for a while.
You got time. You can get stretched sometimes a little thin, and then it takes a while to catch up.
Yeah, and these ships, they're not joking around with material. I mean, at this point, you used to be desperate for this thing when you're building ships and you're doing this, and you needed uncommon this and all that stuff. And now it's the ship parts on the 4-stars. That's what holds you up. That's what pauses you is the ship parts.
Yeah, it's not that 3-star uncommon gas for the Enterprise.
Yeah, you'll be good with gas. You'll be good with ore. You'll be good with crystal. And you're like, I don't have the parts. I need uncommon, interceptor parts or rare battleship parts. And then you're sitting around and you're like, and you don't go out there and buy a pack for that. You got to buy like 10 packs for that shit.
I know. You can't. Once you get up there, you're like, if I want to move up, I got to spend some cash.
Mm-hmm.
And they know that.
Just even basic. But, the good thing about where I am, the people that rush through the door, right? They get the bloodiest, right?
Yeah.
So the guys that get there quick and they get there fast, they go through the shit economy on this thing. They're paying a lot more than we are. They paid a lot more for these Pilums and Interceptors. I mean, Pilums and Valdors and Kelvins and Newtons than we are right now, because the economies catch up when you have this group of people who are first, right? They're the top dogs. They're the whales. They're up there and they're getting there quicker. And at least Scopely recognizes when the baby boom, we're the baby boom. Everybody's between this, the average on the server is between 38 and 45 or something like that, right?
Yeah.
And so when this whole bubble gets to these areas, that's when the economies really start working, and that's when they kind of like settle in it, and you're getting more out of packs, you're getting more out of arcs and battle passes and events and all that stuff.
And your armadas. I mean, I found that when I was in a larger alliance, man, Wargoat was with us, and the dude's running armadas, and it's like changed the game for us.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, wow, I can get, I just got 5, blueprints for whatever in like 3 armadas. How awesome is that?
Right. Yeah, and that's. I mean, that's how you have to. That's the Armadas. That's your bridge to getting out of the basement when it comes to ships. Because what's the transition ship wise is the jellyfish, right?
Yeah. Once you get there,
you got to get that right. And what's going to get you a jellyfish is running the Armadas and building up, enough to keep cashing in Armada loot, going through that process.
and you've got that event, but I mean, honestly, that's kind of a luck thing. You got to spend some money. You just got to somehow somebody could catch you at the last minute and take you out.
Yeah, for sure. And it slowly goes up.
So you're an EMC, so you are a row follower.
Yes.
So would you ever change anything about row, or would you
it changes all the time. Yeah, you got to change it sometimes. It's like, again, it kind of goes through what we were talking about with the bubble, right?
Yeah.
Like, remember in the game back when we were all mining, before, we were just going into the territories to mine, fed space and all that. And before that, we were in all those little systems mining 2-star, and we start mining 3-star, right?
Yeah.
And, and when the bulk of people were in that area, there was a big crisis with nodes, right?
Oh man.
And then what scope we do? They add nodes.
It was
right?
pre 4-star.
Yeah. But eventually they had to figure it out, and they bent to the will of the people and they added nodes. But that they usually don't do that until the bulk of that middle crowd gets there, right? The numbers start getting there. The first guys out there, the big boys get out there, whether it's 3-star, 4-star, 5-star, whatever they get to first, right?
Yeah.
They don't have that, right? They don't have that, but that's okay because nobody's there. When the curve starts catching up, and the big crowd of players starts moving and growing and moving and catching up, and they get there, that's when it becomes a problem.
Yeah, like dark space or whatever. As you get up there, that was great. Whenever you guys kind of migrated upstairs, the 3-star nodes became, it was so beautiful. It was a big shift of most people.
People were gone.
Yeah.
They were on fire.
And I was like, this is great. I can get some gas finally, or some ore. Raytor, for example, that system cleared out. Like nobody's there anymore.
Nice. And I get it. That was great for people. So that's why I advocate row. And I will get, I'm not here I don't speak for anybody in EMC except me, right? I don't speak for.
Yeah.
And vice versa, So I'm not here to, I'm not going to try to explain this stuff that's not my conversation, right?
Yeah.
But I will say, but with the row, I'll tell you this. The row, listen, look at server 20, okay? No row server. The largest alliance there is no row. And it's a freaking nightmare.
Is that the Iron Armada, those guys?
I think that's 20, yeah.
Behringer, I think, is the top guy.
Yeah. And they're not, those servers have no prospect of growing new players. It's not going to happen. It doesn't matter. Like, okay, I'm in EMC right now. EMC is the top alliance, okay, right now. But who cares if there's nobody else in the game? What do you top of? Nothing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You win events, but what do you do with it? There's nobody there. The people that criticize, like, this is not our row. EMC works on the row. The big boys work on the row. They help. They consult, and at the end of the day, they have a lot of input. But they work on it with other alliances, and it's kind of a consensus because the people that criticize EMC on row and shit like that, they're not really thinking. Because if they really thought about it, they look at the top 10 in EMC. You got 3 or 4 60s. You got 58s. There's nobody in the top 10 that's even under 56 in EMC. The top 20 is mostly people in the 50s. They don't give a shit about row at the end of the day for their account. You think ska or GNN, most players, the average player's warships don't reach where they can mine.
I was going to say, like they're so far up there that it doesn't matter.
Yeah. So row, when EMC or GNN works on row or EMC advocates row, it's not for EMC. Now, part of it is that he wants, the alliance, the admirals, the officers, they want to see everybody in EMC grow. But it's also about, if there's no server, it doesn't matter if we're the number one alliance. The server has to grow.
Yeah.
The new players have to come in and be able to build up. And again, if somebody doesn't want to play with row, this is a game. It's their right. It's a wide open format. Do whatever you want. But if you're really that concerned about the server and player growth and whatnot like that, then you would understand why EMC advocates it so harshly, And we don't police it. That's another myth. Police it against us. But if you're in this alliance and somebody in this alliance, Alliance X hits Alliance Y, and it's against row, nobody in EMC gives two shits. It's not our problem.
That's a good point. That's a really good point.
There's no policing. Our only thing is row is like, we don't care if you do the row that we do. We don't care if you do the rules we do. Do what you want.
But if you come in our neighborhood and break our windows,
it's basically fuck around, see what happens.
Which is
but at the end of it, we've talked with the whole thing with incursions and stuff, and they have these other Discord channels where people and whales and admirals from different alliances are talking across servers. And these servers that have no row, these are people that they'll tell you they're miserable.
Yeah, it's no fun.
And if you don't want to farmville this thing, if you don't want to do all the things it takes, and you want to just run around and hit stuff, that's fine. Nobody's telling you it's not your right to do that. It's a game. Play however you want.
Yeah.
If you're the guy in Vice City that's just going to run over all the people on the sidewalk, do it. Do it. You paid your $60, run over every hooker and do what you want. Never finish one of the missions. That's fine. But you're going to run from the police the whole time in that game. And in this game, you're not going to grow like you should. You're going to have fun for a week.
Yeah,
right?
it's short term. Yeah,
You build cool ships. They have cool guns. It's fun to fire them off, but it's not sustainable. It's not. I mean, that's going to get old pretty quick, right? And so limit that to when it happens, and again, and you're going to see. Again, you're not in game right now. The row is changing. It's going to change. It has to change every X amount of. You set up row, and then players grow, players move, space gets crowded, nodes become limited, and then row changes. And it'll keep changing.
So what do you think about, like, territory space? There's still row there, I guess, but is it still viable? Do we need to expand it, or is it still fun down there?
Territory, it's the wrong execution of the right idea. I mean, if you own territory space, it's great because it's not about having the space. It's all that. It's about the. It's about. I mean, if you have good territory, and you're doing, you got all the different ISOs to mine and all that stuff. The key to this game is research on a lot of this stuff. Yeah. So if the people that don't do the research are when it comes to growth, they're the flat earthers. Okay. They don't get it. And that's fine tonight. If you have, I mean, nobody's telling you how to play the game. But if you're serious about growth and if you're serious about power, don't ignore that because, and so yeah, TC Space is great for that. You get a whole new research tree. Obviously, if you don't have access to this ISO or that ISO or whatnot, or this buff or that buff, it's going to be much, 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 much harder to accomplish that research. So that's why it's great to me.
I was always told, do your officers and your research. Ships come and go. You're stuck with your officers, and your research can only help you.
That's 100% right, but it's so hard sometimes because the ships are cool, right? We want the ships.
When you get down, you're like, I have 3 blueprints left. I'll do anything. Where can I get this?
Yeah. So, yeah, that's that dangling carrot that they just keep in front of you.
Well, I think you answered this already. What's your favorite alliance besides EMC?
I don't really, because I think any of us who have been in this game and we've seen alliances come and go. It's the players we like. So there are people, and I can't think of an alliance that I don't know somebody that I really like, or gotten along with, or even played with.
Well, your favorite was probably Gang back in the day, right? I mean, I would say,
yeah, it was great. It was great. Those were everybody loves the early days, and they remembers the good old, this is how we did it, and yada yada.
So different. It's so different from 2019, isn't it? It's not the same game.
I mean, something right now. Again, you're out of game. I know, so it's there's current events right now. Somebody poked a bear, so we're at war right now. So I'm a little perturbed by that, but I don't. Again, even that alliance, I don't hate. So I don't. I know good people in that alliance, but I think their leadership is crap. So they you got a couple of egos, and then you got another X amount of, you got 10 or 12 egos that are being appeased by fucking with the EMC, and then the rest of the alliance is suffering and bubbled up and hiding or dropping off. That doesn't work out well. No, and I'm not saying, and that's not cocky from me.
Yeah.
I'm a 48. I'm a 49. I'm not the guy that's crushing the alliances. I can, 48, 49. I'm strong enough to, I can ruin your day every now and then.
Yeah, once you see me, you can pop me. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm no whale either. So, it's not me being cocky. It's just, I happen to be a part of something. When this machine goes into motion, it's we can make you forget, that you had a good idea.
Really quick. Well, look, when I said, look, I'm interviewing somebody from EMC, and like you said, I'm out of the game, so I don't know what's going on. Although I was told to ask you this.
Yeah.
What's going on with Vulcan?
What's going on with Vulcan?
Yeah, somebody said Vulcan has gone rogue, and he is he's out there killing everybody. Now, this was probably, I don't know if it's totally current, but apparently Vulcan went off on his own, and maybe you tell me that's totally wrong. I don't know.
No, that's not wrong. Everybody knows that happened, and he's not gone anymore.
Oh, he's back. Okay.
Yeah.
I figured when they said that, I said, you know what, guys? He's teaching someone a lesson. I know Vulcan from a long time. I've known him for, since the game started.
Yeah.
He'll go back.
When he joined EMC, I remember he and Anubis came in, obviously, together. And I got along with both of them great. And because we do, we do a lot of Discord stuff. We do a lot of voice. And during the pandemic, we were doing a lot of Zoom. We'd have like raiding parties on Zoom. That's fun. Little happy hour kind of cocktail parties on Zoom. And we had a blast. And I've been on those things with a lot of these guys. And so Vulcan is a brethren. I love the guy. So.
Well, do me a favor. Tell when you see Anubis next time. Tell him I say hello. Yeah. And Vulcan.
I've caught up with. There's a bunch of us here and there that, in real life, we travel for work and all this stuff, and we catch up. And Nubis lives not too far. I live in North Carolina. Nubis lives down in South Carolina near Hilton Head, and he's right outside of Charleston. And I'll tell him you said hi in person.
Do it. Do it.
Every now and then I get down there and see Noobs.
I'll tell you, I was so close to.
I will see him.
When Scott and I were going to do our first the interview, Bro versus Bro, where we're not the same person. We're two different people. I was in Colorado. And he's in Colorado, and we were literally we were like 45 minutes away from each other. And then this freaking COVID hit and canceled our little meetup. And it's like, dang it. So we had to do it by Zoom, or I think we were, I think it's Zoom. And, but man, we were bummed.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, COVID and the pandemic played interesting with this game too, because, you were, even though you're not active right now, you were in the game with the battle passes and the arcs and all that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And when you get done, when a battle pass ends, right, and then you're like, well, what do I do? I got 5 days of boring or 7 days of boring shit until the next battle pass. And that was the pre-battle pass world, right? And you have to go back to what the game was like before battle passes. And I think part of that, a lot of that had to do with the pandemic. So many people were at home. So many people were working at home or staying at home or, playing the stimmy shuffle. Right?
Oh, man. I wish. I was at work the whole time. Mm-hmm. The only time I took off was when I got COVID and went to the hospital. But I was freaking working. I was watching these people not work, and I'm like, dang it! It seems like so much fun, but we had to keep it running.
I was like you. I'm a chef. I'm an executive chef. So
yeah, it doesn't.
So I was. I couldn't even have staff. I had staff furloughed and yada yada. So I'm doing 11, 12, 13-hour days just cooking carry-out shit because we can't let people in the restaurant, And no, I get it. I guess my point, they really, in response to so many people having so much more time, they just started throwing content down people's throats.
Yeah,
because they were bored. They needed it. They're sitting at home. They had nothing to do, and now they got to figure this thing out. Kind of like as people are back traveling and working and doing all this stuff. How they got to throw some balance in there, because I think some people that left the game were just overwhelmed when they left the pandemic, when they started going back to work, they couldn't keep up. There's too much stuff to do. You got to do this. You got to do this. You got to do this.
Yeah,
it's like another job. But I think they'll eventually it feels easier now, and they have to adjust for people being back at work, because I think they did a good job of adjusting when people weren't at work.
Yeah.
And so I think they'll probably figure that balance out at some point when they fix all the other crap they've already broken.
It'll happen. People don't understand. This is not the easiest thing to make these pretty pictures come up on the screen and work perfect.
Yeah.
I'm sure that the rollouts and these arcs are still not fixed when they roll out. Mm-hmm. So,
but I will say this about I couldn't give you all the details if I wanted to, because these things happen quick sometimes.
Yeah.
But I will tell you this about the Vulcan thing is that and people are going to say, "Oh, this guy's full of shit," and I'm not. Honestly, it was not done with the when he went out and went rogue. It was not done with. It was against the leadership's.
He did not have GNN's blessing.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
And when he did go out, we were all. He was kicked out of our Discord and all that stuff at the time. There was no contact with him, really.
Wow.
And we had. I can't say there's no. I saw him out there one day, and I'm like, dude, PM'd him, hey, miss you, man. Hope you're doing good. Come back soon, kind of thing. Get it out of the system. Come on back, yada, yada. But, I think his point on that, and it's, again, maybe was it the right execution of it? I don't know. We'll figure that out later. But it was definitely a good idea. But I don't know if it was handled 100% well. But I think it got its point across is that if you really, you do take a lot of shit in EMC. Everything's your fault.
Yeah.
If there's a problem with Roe, it's EMC's fault. And more to the point, it's the emails that our leadership gets is ridiculous. Sometimes they can't enjoy the game because everybody needs something. Somebody asked us to go to war for them.
Oh wow, that's cool.
We get asked to go to war for people all the time, but somebody asked us to go to war for them because somebody in their alliance had a real life relationship with somebody in another alliance, and they broke up, and it was a bad breakup, and they wanted us to exact the revenge on them. No shit.
And of course, you turn that down, right? I mean, that's inappropriate.
Yeah. It's not. And then there's of course, Vulcan is the guy that wants war all the time. That's wrong too.
No, he doesn't.
He's talked us out of more than there's been more than one numerous occasions where everybody's like, all right, let's do it. They asked for it, they poked the bear, let's do it, and he's like, nope, let's calm it down, let's rethink this, let's not be irrational, and so. But I will say, we didn't have, outside of like us PMing them and saying, hi, see you out there, hope you're good, come back soon. We had no contact with them, and it was not a coordinated thing. It was not a blessed thing. It was just the response was, if everybody out there thinks that they want a system, a server without row, without some kind of, we don't have to agree on everybody's row. We can all play it different. But if you want the Wild Wild West, if you want Stokely row, do whatever you want. Do what thou will.
We'll give it to you. We'll give it to you.
If two of our guys cause that much havoc, think what would happen if there were no alliance. If EMC, the top, Fear, Inc., whoever's in the top guys, if everybody did it, they just said screw it, drop the alliances, just go nuts, and drop the agreements. Who's going to grow? Who's going to do that? Who's going to have fun there? You're hiding. You're bubbling.
You're not going to have fun. It's not going to be fun.
So it's kind of like it was his version of giving the server what. Do you really want this? This is what it'll look like.
Yeah, that's what my gut told me. When I heard it.
If 2 players were on your day, think what 300-400 players will do.
So when I think of EMC and I think, who's a troublemaker? I think Irrelevant is more of a troublemaker than Vulcan. And that's just maybe my history. I'm a great guy, but I think that guy will hit you before Vulcan will hit you. I don't know. Maybe things have changed after a while. I haven't been there for a few months, so.
Well, it's hard for me to comment because I'm lucky that they don't hit me. Right?
You're purple.
I don't have a frame of reference.
Yeah.
I do know this is remember also the thing that people could remember about it if they're GNN, SCA, a lot of these officers. A lot of these big guys in EMC, they didn't come from nowhere. They came from the top alliances at the time.
Yeah.
They came from MD, Raid, Fear at the time. Ska was in,
Ska was in Fury at one time.
Fury, yeah, he was in Fury. I said Fear, I meant Fury, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
They could have stayed pat. They rolled the dice when they did this. They didn't know how it would turn out or how it would be received. And again, they took in little peons like me and taught us and let us grow and built us, right? And they built the alliance right. They didn't build the toughest alliance. They tried to build a concept and a principle. They didn't try to bring in everybody that was the highest out. There's high players that they would refuse to let in the alliance, right?
Yeah.
They bring in people that buy into the concept, buy into the principle. We want to win events. We want to work together. We want to grow together. We want to share information. We want to dedicate X amount of time. But there's guys in MC who are totally free to play. They're guys that have budgets, and they're guys that obviously spend a lot of money. And that's I'll go down that tangent. The people that make fun of the guys who spend, and I get that you don't get it, and I get I don't spend. I'm not like that. I can't do that, right? But at the same time, I get that it's alien to you, or you can call them wallet warriors and all this. But you know what? You should just be thanking them.
Hey, I've been called wallet warrior, like in my 40s, like the low 40s. I'm called a wallet warrior, and I'm like, hey, wait a second, and then I think
it's always going to get you.
Yeah, right? Technically, I guess I kind of am, because I'm thousands in.
Mm-hmm.
Embarrassingly, I'm like, oh my gosh. But yeah, I get it.
At the end of the day, if they weren't doing it, Scopely would have closed the doors by now.
Oh, it would,
chapter, right?
It would be black and white game with ads everywhere all the time.
Right, ads everywhere and crap. I mean,
who wants that?
Bugs now, right?
Yeah.
These guys that that's what pays for content, and it pays to keep the game alive. So there's that, right? But yeah, again, these guys came from big alliances. They rolled the dice to do this. They built it on a principle, not just, hey, let's get the toughest people in the whole server together and nobody can screw with us. No, it was quite the opposite. Let's leave the biggest alliances because they're not being run. You remember when MD would take over a whole system?
Oh,
and
yeah.
if you went in, you went, like I would fly in there in a mine and you just get blown up, right?
Yeah, because you're not paying attention. Remember sending your ship and you can't stop or anything, so you got to go do something else. You come in and your ship's dead.
Yeah. And you weren't even on it though. You were just you just entered the system.
You just got there,
right?
Yeah.
And they kind of figured out that's not going to help the server. That's not going to grow. How do we grow ourselves? How do we grow our teammates first? And then also, just as important, how do we grow the server? And that's what it was based on. So, yeah, you're going to have all these people that just like, oh, screw them. But, at the end of the day, you're welcome because it's a lot easier. It's a lot nicer, and you're probably getting a lot more growth out of it. That's my opinion.
Well, let me ask you, what is your favorite part of the game right now? What has happened recently that you loved, has changed your game, that's made you smile?
To me, it's still getting, you hit those zones where you just, you kind of hit a rough patch where you just, it's there and there, and then you get over that hump and something opens your doors. And honestly, for me, the 4-star rares open. That was like, I was grinding it out. I was getting bored. I'm like, God, this is brutal. When you get that 4-star rare ship, it opens up so much for you. And to me, it wasn't a specific content. That ship, it's like when you first got the salad and you're like, holy cow, I can.
Dude, this thing can punch. Yeah. This ship can punch. Yeah, I was amazed.
They get you, the 4-star rares get you to places you didn't think you could go to. Because at one point, we were all like, I'll never have an Enterprise. That's ridiculous.
I remember. Right? That's why we started playing the game, right? Like, originally.
Yeah.
For me, it was.
I go hit, like now, my Enterprise, those ships, the Enterprise, the Augur, the D4, I use those to annoy people and get, and because I can get them, because they can kill them, and they're cheap to repair compared to the other ships, right?
Now, you're getting close to an Enterprise A, though, aren't you? Is that a 50?
Not sure I'm going to go that way.
Okay.
I'm thinking right now. I'm probably.
You're Romulan.
Well, I think I'm going to have to go Hector.
Are you really? Yeah. Scary little ship, man.
Yeah, because again, I'm not looking at the next move. I'm looking 2 moves out, and I want to,
Yeah.
I want to spend on the like faction credits, all that kind of stuff. I'm in line for the Hector next, and then I might be able to. I don't know if you need more than one epic.
Yeah.
At that point, you're just. I mean, because again, the 4-star rares. I know guys that they're 58, level 58, 59, 60. They still use the 4-star rares for grinding, and so you might only need one epic, and then you can go right to a 5-star. Who knows?
And a good thing about being EMC is you have a direct connection to guys who have made those mistakes already and learned from it. I know GNN and Scott, a lot about GNN helps the guys under him grow.
They tell me absolutely nothing.
I know.
But again, you have to kind of break it down. Like, this is how they did it. But that's the thing. The best advice they give you is, to do it at your pace. This is what we did. This is what didn't work. This is what worked. But at your pace, at your spin level, this might be a better route, right? And then we're always talking about, they put out a lot of new ships. You saw some of them before you timed out.
I see them. I mean, I'm on Discord, so I watch Rev Deuce and I watch No One Shall and these guys, so I see the ships.
Yeah.
They're cool.
But they kind of try it out really quickly and get it done really quickly.
Skip all these ships, right? Like, that's an important thing. If somebody told me, hey, man, don't get the Enterprise, I would have been like, you're crazy. But, there are people who say don't get the Jelly. And I'm like, well, that's going to be a big hit on you.
And when you brought up the NA, I think the general consensus at the time, I think they were kind of like some of the guys that got the NA first that I talked to in the line, they weren't thrilled with. Like the guys that got the Sanctus first, that's the Romulan equivalent. They loved it right away. And I think the NA, they had to warm up to it. It wasn't great right out of the box.
Well, you're spoiled with the old Enterprise. You're spoiled with that shield repair that it doesn't have. So
I think now that once they put a little effort, little love into it, got up under the hood, made a few adjustments. You
got to use Spock now. All of a sudden,
I've heard some good stuff about it. Yeah, some of they use. I see them using it a lot more, but. The epics, I think the Sanctus is the general consensus is the Sanctus is a no-brainer, but you also kind of stick with what path you built these things on.
Yeah.
And unfortunately for me, I kind of went in a weird rotation, so it's probably going to be the Hector.
I had way too many Explorers for a while. Like, that was my...
Yeah.
I just liked the look, and it turned out, wow, that's not the smartest thing to do.
But and now you can't. Once you get going, you can't because of the ship parts. Unless you're just willing to, Amex your way through it. You can't. You gotta. And plus, the content that Scopely puts out now really favors the battle triangle, right?
Yeah.
And you better have all sides of it covered because you can't just one angle it. Because you got the crews out there now, the PvP crews for each type of ship, and so if you're not kind of circling the wagons when it comes to all the triangle, that's why I'm where I am now. The Valdor is good enough to be my Explorer right now. And then the Pilum Interceptor, Newton battleship. Are they all where I want them to be right now? No, but at least I've got the Triad,
Yeah, you've got it covered.
Hmm.
I'm going back to the old school first season questions. So I'm going to give you the first question that nobody likes this question. And I'm just going to ask it, though. But it's tell me something you think is true that nobody else agrees with you about. Now, an example would be flat Earth. I know you're not a flat earther, but
Do I think it's true that nobody will agree with me?
yeah, or the majority. You know, maybe Alex Jones is cool, or you know,
No, I would say that yeah, nobody. And this ages me, but I will say, you can love this, you can love this musically, but the Stones are the greatest ever. Period.
let me agree with you. I think the Stones are better than the Beatles.
Absolutely, I did a paper on that when in my youth. I juxtaposed the Stones as the devil and the Beatles as Jesus, and the devil won it. And at the end of the paper, I agree with you 100%.
My wife loves the Beatles. Oh, and I'm like, yeah, okay. I can only listen to so much. I totally agree with you there. So there's two of us. Okay, that's cool.
Good. All right. I won that one, right?
You won, yeah. Well, you've been with the game for so long. I think I know the answer to this one, but why are you still here?
Yeah, everybody knows I'm here the same reason everybody else is. We love, the people, and we expand that song. We've got incursions. So, you get tired of the people you get tired of, but then you expand that. The game's great, but a big component of the game is the fact that we're not just, behind a keyboard with no knowledge. We have great interaction with the people, and that's the fun part.
One other question. Is there an EMC 3 in the horizon?
We're not sure how EMC 2 came about. Actually, that was it was an unplanned birth. It's an unplanned pregnancy.
I mean, I don't know are there any other any book titles or characters or special medals from from Atlas Shrugged that we can use? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't. But if they, if I'll put it this way,
Galt. It'll be Galt is what it'll be.
Galt. If there's an EMC in the planning, it's above my pay grade. They don't tell me that until later.
You'll know when everybody else knows.
Yeah, we'll vote on it at some point and we'll discuss it. But I got too much going on to be in those planning meetings. But no, I'd say no.
Well, here's your ending question. If you died today, how would you like to be remembered?
Shit. Okay.
It's a deep one. I'm telling you. This is where it gets real.
Yeah. Well, I'm at 52, and my best friends are still my college. I mean, we have this close knit group of people, and so I want them to, obviously I want them to remember. I think they would remember me as a good guy and a great friend, and always there for them. But as the goalpost shifted, I got 3 kids. I want to be remembered with them as a great dad and a great husband.
Well, Outrider, thanks for chilling with me, and roll Tide.
Roll Tide. Thank you. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me, and I appreciate it. I enjoyed talking with you.